Round 18 holds and sells. Now, kick it off with the who's not list, which includes our boys Couchman, Metcalf, Ponga as the big ones this week, and just sad to see so many good players get injured, right? And then you've got Wong, Stewart, Sharp still being held, which made sense if you didn't need to trade last week, and then some question marks around guys like Lawson at that cheaper price, and actually Adam Fanua-Blake being sold by 0.4%, and I've seen guys like McInnes as well, so I'll bucket Adam and McInnes together when I talk about them there. So round 18. Couchman at 636. Very, very easy sell. The question this week with Couch is going to be for you. Do you straight swap him to a gun type player if you don't have Tedesco? If you need an edge to cover Couchman, and you have Katoa, you have Preston, you have Talis Duncan, you have a lot of guys around that type of price point, or you're going down to Birds, you're going down to Turbos, you can go straight swap to Nwangi Tawaze. You've got Pappy there, you've got Drinky, all these types of guys there as well. So unfortunately for Couch, it looks like it'll be longer term for him. Very, very likely that it'll be surgery, and we don't have the exact prognosis as yet, but as to how long it's going to be, but definitely a sell. Metcalf, ACL, torn, done. Very sad. He's just had too many injuries, like a lot of players out there. Similar boat to Couch, but more expensive, and there's more you can do with his cash as well. So definitely sell. Ponga at 514. If you just have him, you don't have Couchman, or you're looking to sell both him and Couchman, there is something to think about around it, because maybe you get one cheapie and then you can use the cash there from the other to go up or sideways, into the mid 500s there. If you're needing a wing fullback and selling Ponga because of it, you have Drinkwater at a very similar price to him there. A couple of guys I hadn't mentioned yet, Kane Bradley as one of them there is very cheap, a centre that could work for you. You have Jed Stewart as the cheap wing fullback, who I did mention in the buys video, and a big thanks to everyone who has checked that out. And we have had a few people sign up actually for the private group to get their next year, to get their team from 2025 reviewed and to go through especially a few of these tougher decisions before we get our extra 8 trades in round 20. And while we're here as well, let me know in the comments if you're at 0 trades, just write 0 in the comments, and I'll send you some love down there. So for Ponga, definitely a sell as well. It's a Liz Frank, so he'll be out for the rest of the year, unfortunately, or close to it, unless they make finals and whatever else. But yeah, more of a decision there as to what you need to do with that price point. Siwa Wong, I think with him not being a top tier keeper, still missing the 3 weeks or so there, likely 3 to 4, I still think he's a sell. Like at that price point, it's a good time to move on. Some people I think probably just held him last week because he had the buy and they could just use him as some type of looper and didn't want to make trades, and that's fine. But this week it's a very easy move on, I think, but less of a move on if you have 3 of them, like Metcalf and Couchman as well. You don't have to sell Wong in this one. If you did hold Hamish Stewart last week at 461, now it's an even better week to move him on. And just crazy how this turned out, because he got 5 weeks there at starting lock, got decent minutes off the interchange, and then moved to a very low number. So unlikely that he's going to come back into a good role, and with his break even very high, you need to use his cash to probably go down to a cheapie, unless you're double trading. And I suppose if you're double trading, you can go him to a cheapie and go the other guy to a more expensive player. But yeah, Hamish, a good guy to move on from, not really going to help you anymore. Now Jenkins at 570, I think this is a great opportunity to move him on. If you're interested there, you got 28 from him in his last game, first week in a while that he hadn't scored a try, and was doing really well before that. So with Jenkins not being a keeper, this is the perfect week to move on from him if you need to. If you don't have anyone clear to sell him to, or you have 13 available or whatever else, then just sell him next week. You're not really going to need him in that clash. They do have a pretty nice stretch of games coming up, the Panthers, in Parramatta, Rabbitohs, Tigers, and Titans. That's pretty nice, but yeah, is he going to be a guy that can hit mid-40s and 50s and be worth it, or do you just try and get, over the next few weeks anyway, guys like Latrell? Make sure you have Teddy, you've got Carraz, these types of guys there that aren't too much of a higher price than where Jenkins is at. For Lawson, selling him right now, I think makes sense to clean up your side a little bit with him being out for a while. If you have sort of, 5, 6, 7 trades and above, if you're sitting under that number, if it 3 takes you down to 2 by selling him and straight swapping him to like a Bradley or a Stewart, those type of players, or maybe going up to like a Jack Bird could work well enough, given he could help you the next few weeks. But if you have the lower trades, it's probably just worth taking or copping the loss of one player this week and just dealing with that. And then maybe he stays in your team longer term. If you don't want him to stay in your team longer term, then the sell would be fine, but just be aware of the lack of trades you'll have there. Halasima, guys, at 509k, with him moving to the bench there, he's still got 35 points there, 35 minutes, but in that scenario, not going to be a keeper. Definitely an easy guy you could move on. But again, do you need to do it this week? No. Do you have better options next week to sell him to? That is your decision either way. Now, Adam Blake, he's averaging a little bit better than McInnes, so I would definitely have AFB as more of a hold than McInnes. AFB, I think, sits in a bracket the same as Joe Tapine, who we will speak about next. I'll pop him up in the grouping. There he is. So Taps next, 707 and 719. Both averaging really well, 56 and 58.7. With AFB, he's not going to be in the top 4 mids for the year, and neither is Tapine. But they both sit in a position where at a 55, 56 average, they are clearly in your best 17. It's more the fact that mid is very, very strong. So I don't see the need to look at selling an Adam Blake. If we got to it later down the track and positionally you have too many mids, or right now, even if you have way too many mids, then sweet. But with him being out this week, I think he's very helpful the following week. So there are a lot of teams there with plenty of South players and Raiders. So if you're in that boat, then AFB is set and ready to go for round 19 as a mid. So I personally wouldn't sell him. And I think it's very difficult to sell someone who has 280s in their past 6 games. There's not many people in this game that have that upside, and that's why I'd stick with holding on to him. Now, Tapine, very similar situation. He's averaging 58.7 and has so many 60s and 70s. Yes, the last 4 games, it's been a little bit more lean for him, and the minutes have been down, but you did see 53 minutes on the weekend, which got him back to similar numbers to earlier on the season, which is good news. And yes, got the good score 2 weeks ago. That was in his lowest minutes, but what you can see here for him is that he doesn't need the crazy minutes in general to score well. And I don't see why you would look to sell him this week. But people will be looking at it over the next few weeks with them having 2 buys in the following 6 rounds. So keep an eye out on that one with Tapine. We got Riley Smith at 550k. Similar boat there. Looks like Joey Lussick has taken over the hooking role. So same as what we said last week. I think you still sell him regardless and use his cash to get better players in your side or go to a cheapie. With Appy being out this week, that's the annoying one for him. He could have been a guy that did a decent enough job for you in the hooking slot, but now that he is out, he could be sold. It could also be next week, you upgrade him to Watson, to Grant, or if you don't want a hooker, then use him to go to any other position where, at 614k or going up to 670, you can buy someone that's going to average 50 plus rather than the up and down 45 that Coruscant can provide for you. Now, Jackson Purdue, I find this one very interesting. So he's gone the complete opposite since he moved to the halves role, then finds it very, very difficult to score tries now. He's just had that one good game in the previous 6, which is gross. So definitely I think it's the correct decision to sell him before he does come up against this week could be okay, but Dogs and Dolphins following that. So for Purdue at 448, selling this week isn't the worst pick. Even if you could get him down to Jack Bird, it does bank you 100 odd K. It's rough, and we really didn't want this to be the case, but if he comes out and gets 20, 30 again, you're probably selling him anyway soon, so do you just do it now instead of losing some more cash? That's kind of the thing with Purdue. So long-term sell doesn't have to be now, but can be now. Yongi, at 509k, he's probably going to be sold out on my side just because I need to buy wing fullbacks and centres. So if you're in a very similar boat, he's done his job. He's been good overall. He's made us 150k helped us get some decent scores in certain weeks and has been poor in others. So the recent history for him, it's 4 of his last 5 scores have been 47 plus. So very happy with that, but he won't be a keeper for us in that position. And yeah, I just need to add heaps of wing fullbacks, so I think he's a sell. Ewan Aitken. He does have 2 buys to come as well. So think about that. Round 26 could be a pivotal week there. Him playing centre and playing it regularly is frustrating. The higher break even, and yes, he can score pretty well in centre. But you can see here the last 3 weeks is 41, 42, and 42. And he didn't actually play the full 80 last week either with players out. So pretty frustrating situation with him after buying him for that 60. I thought I was a genius. And it's just not happening for him. At centre, he got big run meters, but his meters gained compared to last year, and that's the exciting, was the exciting thing. They used him so much more at the Dolphins than what they're using him at the right-hand side for the Bunnies. So I think that whilst Talis Duncan has been a lot more important on that left-hand side, and Aitken's been on the right, with their other weapons on that left, like Alex Johnson and Latrell's tendencies to go left. That's the frustrating part here. I think they're using Aitken as more a defensive centre and less an attack. So that's been the annoying one for Aitken, and why I think longer term he's a sell. The reason I'm delving into him a little bit more here myself is because he's in my team, and I think I could use him this week as a move on. Playing centre against, he's going to play left centre, isn't he? Which is next to Talis, but Talis gets all the work. Against Turbo isn't very exciting. Like, I think he'll still score 40, so if you do own him and you don't want to use a trade, like, I think he'll be fine. We've seen it 42 early on in the year. We had 42 a couple of weeks ago. He had the Simon game for 13, so that's a scary one, but 45 with a try in his round 1 this year. So yeah, not a super exciting pick longer term, and at 630k is still at a good price that you could use him to move on to someone there. And the final one, Jazz Savanga, I think over the next few weeks could be a sell. Like, there's the odd person, shout out Bus Lane, who has Cook and Tavanga, so he doesn't need him this week and could sell him. You might be in that boat as well. And I think this is a decent week to do so. He's not going to be a keeper in our sides. He could also just be a hold for the next few weeks until something if something happens to Clark, we've got him there. Or use Tavanga to upgrade a little bit later when we get the 8 trades. So there's a few things to think about with Jazz, but if he's going to play some 9 and then back into the middle role, and it's less exciting than what we saw here when he was just playing middle and for good minutes. So with troops back, there's less need for him to do all of that, and probably sits at like a 40-ish, 43, 45 average, and he's priced at 41. So not a keeper, and yeah, after this week has less importance or will help us less in our side. So we'll leave it there, guys. That's the holds and the sells. If you do want to join the private crew and get the one-on-one advice and the last chance to get a team review for 2025 team review next year in the preseason, then jump in the description, guys. You pay the cash to my account there. Send me an email. I'll get you straight in, which will be good fun. And we'll be helping you in the next couple of hours once this comes out. So good stuff, guys. Thanks for tuning into this one. And we'll leave you there. Cheers.